Omakyana Timarandasya Chinansala Slakya Sakshurnitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Nami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Singhavadi Paskachai Desatarani. Hare Krishna, what did we hear so far in this part of the Bhagavatam, in this chapter? What Prahlad learned in the womb? Prahlad Maharaj taught us that it's very difficult to overcome the power of Maya. Ahankara Vimudatma, we think ourselves all the doer. By that false sense of who we are, by that false ego, we are wandering from one body to another. And everyone is constantly in anxiety, especially in Kali Yuga, that everyone is upadutaha, always disturbed. Why? Rather than surrender to Krishna, we surrender to Maya, illusory energy. We want to be an instrument of Maya, but Krishna wants Arjuna to be an instrument. His instrument to kill all these people on the battlefield. Of course, Arjuna is a warrior. Fighting is part of his occupational duty. So Krishna is asking him to be an instrument and to remove the burden of the earth in this way. It's very wonderful if Krishna wants something to do to someone else, that Srila Prabhupada, he was ready to do anything for Krishna's pleasure. Srila Prabhupada was very serious in his surrender to Krishna. So Prahlad Maharaj is speaking to his classmates here. His classmates who had been hearing all these teachings of Sanayana Marka. Pious but materialistic. Pious in the sense that they perform dharma, but only for the sake of getting artha, wealth, and calm, enjoyment. Today in contemporary society, we have the same principle, but not through pious activities. And therefore, it doesn't give them actual enjoyment. It allows them just misery and deepens their ignorance. But the same principle is there. I'm the center of things and everything is for my pleasure. Prahlad Maharaj is saying to this, no. And Srila Prabhupada says no to it. Prahlad says, my dear friends, enjoying the material energy is futile. It is simply not possible. It will foil every attempt we make. If you endeavor for happiness, you will get the opposite. So, we can't win even if you succeed. Better to be satisfied and grateful for what we get. If you are ungrateful, you won't be happy with what you have. If you are satisfied with what you have, then you can be somewhat happy in this world. So one must be in a mode of goodness to think like that. This is a problem in this world. Nobody practically cultivates the mode of goodness. Rather, it engenders the modes of passion and ignorance. That is what we have taken birth into. A society that measures success in one's ability to cultivate ignorance and passion. We took birth here, and why did we take birth here? Because we have the same tendencies. We need to be very careful. And the best way of being careful is to hear from Prahlad Maharaj. That is simply not possible. It is simply not possible to be happy in this world. You may try, but ultimately you can't be happy. Try, and then die. Prahlad is talking to the children of the Asuras, and they went to school to learn diplomacy, and the teachers walk out of the room, and Prahlad Maharaj starts preaching Krishna consciousness. That his father tried to kill him because of his tendency towards Krishna consciousness. So we are here today, text 45 till the end of the chapter. Text 45. Kimmeter atmanastu chai sahadehene nasvarai anachter arta sankaser nityananda rasodade. All this paraphernalia is very near and dear as long as the body exists. So Prahlad said all this paraphernalia, without this paraphernalia, these were mentioned in the previous verse. The paraphernalia related to the body, such as wives, residences, wealth, children, relatives, servants, friends, kingdoms, treasures, animals, and ministers. They are also temporary. What more can be said about this? It was the previous verse. So here, Prahlad said, all this paraphernalia is very near and dear as long as the body exists. So it depends on the existence of the body. We have relationships with each other, and then you leave the body, finished immediately. And we will never meet in the same capacity, in the same bodies. That all what we think, all what we falsely think that we are finished. But as soon as the body is destroyed, all things related to the body are also finished. Therefore, actually, one has nothing to do with them because of ignorance. One accepts them as valuable. So what's the illusion in this world? We take the temporary as valuable. But only the eternal is valuable. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. What has value is endurable. It's eternal. What's not eternal has no value. It's temporary. It depends on the body. So therefore, actually, one has nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with them. But we think we have everything to do with it. Our illusion is so deep. We can't imagine how deep it is. Because we have done this. We have identified with bodies for millions of years, that it became a second habit. But because of ignorance, one accepts them as valuable. Compared to the ocean of eternal happiness, they are most insignificant. It's most insignificant. The pleasure and distress of the body, that's not our life. It's the ecstasy of the soul, that's our real life. And we have lost that, Ananda. That the Nitya Ananda, our eternal happiness, we have lost. What is the use of such insignificant relationships for the eternal living being? It's difficult to grasp for us. So you have all this paraphernalia Prahlad Maharaj is referring to in verse 44. The body, the wives, the residence, they are all temporary. It becomes a source of misery. It is dear as long as the body exists. When the body is destroyed, all things related to the body are finished. That ignorance is illusion. It is the self of Maya. It is investing the self, the sense of ourself in our relationship with all this paraphernalia. But it has nothing to do with us. So thinking it has to do with us, that's the illusion. Yeah. We are trying to understand here what illusion is. That someone said it appears so real. Yeah, it is real in the sense it is Krishna's energy, but it is temporary, and it is our identification with it that brings up the illusion. That it's insanity to think something what you are not. Then that when Srila Prabhupada, when he had his business in Calcutta, then one day he had to go to court for something. And before there was a murder case. It was a doctor who found out that his assistant had a relationship with his wife, and he called him into the operation room and chloroformed him and cut his body into pieces and put it outside. And a policeman came and saw that blood came out of the boxes, and he understood what happened and arrested the doctor. A psychiatrist was speaking before the judge, and he said, Your Honor, that whether this person is responsible for his acts or not, that's difficult to say. In my opinion, everyone in this world is more or less mad. That Srila Prabhupada said, yes, everyone is insane. They are identifying with the body and with this paraphernalia. Only the devotees, they are sane. They are in the process of becoming sane. But if we take our sense of self, which is natural for the soul, to feel that one exists, and places into the body all related paraphernalia, that is called illusion. So let's remember that illusion is investing our sense of self in the body and all things related to the body. That is what Prahlad Maharaj is speaking against here. We think that things are valuable because they are meant for our pleasure, because it is a false investment of our sense of self in things that are actually not us. If we invest our sense of self, our identity, in that in that I am Krishna's eternal servant. Yeah. That's the real self. That we should cultivate that as our feeling of self. Always feeling that you are the spirit soul, and seeing that the soul desires and that Krishna does everything. If we don't see Krishna in our actions and actions of others, still we are in illusion. So if you don't think every moment of Krishna who is acting in this world, we are in illusion, because Krishna is the actor. So comparing the ecstasy of the soul, who is alive in his relationship with Krishna, with false investment of our false ego, is insignificant. So then what is one gaining with his activities? Trying to be happy on a material level. What is the value of all of this? As it ends simply in lordship and miseries. Text 46. My dear friends, O sons of the Asuras, the living entity receives different types of body according to his previous fruitive activities. Thus he is seen to suffer with reference to his particular body in all conditions of life, beginning with his infusion into the womb. Please tell me, therefore, after full consideration, what is the living entity's actual interest in fruitive activities, which result in hardship and misery? Now we will read the purport, the 5th line. The entire world is working so hard only for sexual pleasure. To enjoy pleasure and maintain the status quo of material life, one must work very hard, and because of such activities, one prepares himself another material body. Prahlad Maharaj places this matter to his friends, the Asuras, for their consideration. Asuras, they generally cannot understand that the objects of sexual pleasure, the so-called pleasure of materialistic life, depend on extremely hard labor. So the activities of the body is a result of our past karma. And our body is also a result of our past karma. That the activities of the body we go through now, everything we do is a result of our past karma. That the circumstances that we go through are arranged by Krishna. That of course we have free will. How the free will is how to react on these circumstances, and that will either entangle us again or liberate us. So we need to react in a Krishna conscious manner. If we surrender to Krishna, we come under the spiritual energy. gradually. But gradually we become purified, but dat buddhas, dat atmas, dat nishtas, dat praina, kachanta munaravta, kanantituta, kalmasa. When you use his body, mind, words, and invest all one's faith in taking refuge of Krishna, we become purified, but we act, if we do that, in pure devotional service, only to please Krishna. We are directly under the spiritual energy and no reactions. So we need to think about this. Text 48. Tasmat artatsa kamasya dharmasya yat apasraya. No, that's first we have to read 47. Karmam narabate dehite natmanuvaktina kamapistanate deham ubayam tva vivikata. The living entity who has received his present body because of his past fruitive activity may end the results of his actions in this life, but this does not mean that he is liberated from the bondage to material bodies. Living entity receives one type of body, and by performing actions with that body, he creates another. Thus he transmigrates from one body to another to repeated birth and death because of his gross ignorance. So suddenly we find ourselves being born in a particular family, and you take birth. Everyone smiles at me and tells me my name. I'm part of this family, and then my body starts to develop from a baby body to youth. But how in this world did I get into this situation? What caused me to be born in this particular family? What caused the soul to take birth in a particular family, in a certain family? That I don't consider. I'm just pushed along with the river of time and try to enjoy it. Yes, I've received this body because of my past fruitive activities. But what we are doing now is creating our future. So what is our freedom? We can't do anything about what caused me to take birth in this family, etc. But I can, with my life, mold my life in such a way that my future will be brighter than my past. That kind of intelligence is based on knowledge. What is the gross ignorance that makes us transmigrate from one body to another? It's the knowledge that I'm not a body. That's knowledge in goodness. Passion means desires, and ignorance means sleepiness and dullness. When in passion becomes absorbed and attached to the fulfillment of material desires, such a person cannot understand that one is not a body. Even though each of us, where we are going, where are we going? So when we were young, we looked in the mirror and we saw that, and we saw that feeling of I-ness, which was invested completely in a completely different body. Then I now invest my feeling of I-ness in. We all know that we are not the body, but due to the modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, it's very difficult to perceive it. It looks so real, but that sense of I is not real. It is gross ignorance. From Sattva Guna, knowledge is born, we learn from the Bhagavad Gita. That's so. It's 5 lines down in the 8 lines down in the purport. That in this life, one must select the goal of life and act accordingly. Having received instructions from the spiritual master and the Shastra, one must be sufficiently intelligent. So intelligence means to discriminate between what I should do and what I should not do. That discriminating point comes from Shastra and Guru. So further, in the human form of life, one should not remain fully in ignorance, but should inquire about his constitutional position. This is called Atata Brahma Jignas. Human psychology gives rise to many questions, which various philosophers have considered and answered with various types of philosophy based upon mental concoction. That is not the way of liberation. The instruction says, Tat vijnanartam sagrum evabhigachat. To solve the problems of life, one must accept a spiritual master. Tasma grum pavachita jnana shreya uttamam. If one is actually serious in inquiring about the solution to material existence, one must approach a bona fide guru. Tat vinapanapatna pariprasna sevya prediction tehyam jnana statvadarshana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire for him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. One must approach a bona fide spiritual master by surrendering unto him, pranipatena, and rendering service. An intelligent person must inquire from the spiritual master about the goal of life. A bona fide spiritual master can answer all such questions because he has seen the real truth. Even in ordinary activities, we first consider gain and loss and then we act. Similarly, an intelligent person must consider the entire process of material existence and then act intelligently, following the directions of the spiritual master. So now, after intensely criticizing material life, Prahlad is going to say something about the positive. So he said, don't endeavor for material gain based on the body in this world. It is doomed, it is futile, it is useless. So the next verse is what you should do. We have heard what we should not do. Text 48. Tasmatartasa kamasya dharmasya tapasraya vachatani hayatmanam aniham harim ishvaram. The 4 principles of advancement in spiritual life, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, all depend on the disposition of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, my dear friends, following the footsteps of devotees without desire fully depend upon the disposition of the Supreme Lord. Worship Him, the Super Soul, in devotional service. So he says this dharma, artha, kama, and moksha depends fully on the Supreme Lord. The Lord is controlling everything. So don't become involved in materialistic thinking. Teachings of Prahlad are very relevant, but without the positive, we will become dry. That so Prabhupada in the purport. These are words of intelligence. Everyone should know that in every stage of life we are dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even now, as we sit here, we listen. Even one of us, as we speak or listen, is depending on Krishna in everything we do. We are not controlling our heart beating. Things go on. The blood moves. We can only hear about Krishna if Krishna allows us to hear that. Therefore, that the Dharma religion which we accept should be which is recommended by Prahlad Maharaj, Bhagavad Dharma. So Bhagavad Dharma, it relates to the activities that are pleasing to Krishna. So this is the instruction of Krishna, that Sabdam Prichya Mamakam Saramvacha, take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, which means to act according to the rules and regulations of Bhagavad Dharma, devotional service. As far as economic development is concerned, we should discharge our occupational duties, but fully depend on the lotus feet of the Lord for the results. So this is the answer to the question that we discussed a few lessons ago. We do our duty and depend on the lotus feet of the Lord for the results. So Karmane Vatakasiv Marvelis Nakadachna, you have a right to perform your duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. According to one's position, one should perform duties, but for the results, one should fully depend on Krishna. So first, so here is a servant mentality is required. It is described. The materialistic education teaches us that the worst thing is to have a servant mentality. Then you get exploited. The more one tries to be a master in this world, the more one gets exploited by bigger masters, more powerful persons. So, according to one's position, one should perform his duties, but for the results, one should fully depend on Krishna. Narottam Das Thakur thinks that our only desire should be to perform the duties in Krishna consciousness. We should not be misled by the Karma Mimamsa philosophy, which concludes that if we work seriously, the results will come automatically. This is not a fact. The ultimate result depends upon the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In devotional service, therefore, the devotee completely depends upon the Lord and honestly performs his occupational duties. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj advised his friends to depend completely on Krishna and worship him in devotional service. So we try to do our duties so that Krishna will be pleased, because Krishna is the center. 49. Sarvasamapi bhutanam harir atmashvara priyaha bhuter mahadpi svakritai kettanam jiva samshita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari is the soul and the super soul of all living entities. That every living entity is a manifestation of his energy in terms of the living soul and the material body. Therefore, the Lord is most dear and is the supreme controller. So Prahlad Maharaj explains here why we should serve the Supreme Lord, why we should serve him, because it's completely natural, because we have a relationship with him. We are Tatastha Sakti, manifested from him. And the material body, it's another aspect of his energy. Both the gross and subtle body and the spirit soul, we are all emanations of Krishna. We are, so we are tiny and the Lord is great. It is now for us to realize this. Now that we got the human form of life, human life is meant for spiritual advancement. Awakening our relationship with that Lord, the Lord of our heart. So that is what we are looking for. Don't look for it externally. Look for it in serving the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the only auspicious condition of life that makes every situation auspicious. There is such a tendency to look externally, trying to manipulate external energy, that leads to such frustration and an increase of material desires. We may be in the body of a human, a demigod, a yaksha, a rakshasa, but that is not me. It is all the external energy of the Lord. We should serve him. We are his energy, serving him like Prahlad. Everyone should take shelter of him. The next question is, what will please him? That's text 51 and 52. I read text 50. I told already what it is about, but if a demigod, demon, human being, yaksha, gandharva, or anyone within the universe renders service to the lotus feet of Mukunda, who can deliver liberation, is actually situated in the most auspicious condition of life. Text 51, 52. My dear friends, O son of the demons, you cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by becoming perfect Brahmins, demigods, or great saints, or by becoming perfect in etiquette or vast learning. None of these qualifications can awaken the pleasure of the Lord. No by charity, austerity, sacrifice, cleanliness, or vows can one satisfy the Lord. The Lord is pleased only if one has unflinching, unalloyed devotion to him. Without sincere devotional service, everything is simply a show. So Prahlad Maharaj mentions here first many things that will not please the Lord. So after hearing that the Lord cannot be pleased by our material endeavor, at least intellectually we should become convinced of that. We should know this. How can we be happy in a place where there is birth and death? We are in a place where 60 billion people all want to be in the center, and that all others should organize their lives around me to make me happy. How is it to be happy in this way? You have to become frustrated. That so Prahlad Maharaj advises here, that advises to center our lives around Krishna. Prahlad says that this is what we should do, to be happy. So the Lord is pleased only if one has unflinching, unalloyed love, devotion for him. That Amalaya Bhaktya said, we should get rid of desires for Jnana Karma, Anavritam, without desire for food, if results for liberation. That text 53. My dear friends, O son of demons, in the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotion so to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as the super soul of all living entities. That so just this is a very simple and practical guideline to know what is devotional. What is devotional? Just do what it takes to please Krishna. That read the purport from the beginning. The word that Atmapam Yena refers to thinking others to be like oneself. One can very intelligently conclude that without devotional service, without becoming Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy. Therefore, the duty of all devotees is to preach Krishna consciousness everywhere, all over the world, because all living entities without Krishna consciousness are suffering the pangs of material existence. To preach Krishna consciousness is the best welfare activity. Indeed, it is described by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as para-upakar for the work, para-upakar, work for the true benefit of others. The activities of para-upakar have been especially entrusted to those who have taken birth in India as human beings. The entire world is suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised all human beings born in India to make their lives perfect by Krishna consciousness and preach the gospel of Krishna consciousness all over the world, so that others may become happy by executing the principles of Krishna consciousness. So, in the beginning of this purport, Srila Prabhupada gives us a practical sense of what to do. The method to please the Lord, the ultimate method, is to preach. And Krishna will reciprocate with that. You try to make others Krishna consciousness, and Krishna gives you the realization of what you are preaching. Amazing. He gives that gradually. When you so the method to please him is to preach, Srila Prabhupada said, very practical. If the son or daughter takes up the work of the father, bringing back home the other sons and daughters, that pleases the father. So in Kali Yuga, because they are lacking pious activities, they do not have the tendency to take shelter of the holy name or to become absorbed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We want to do something because one is passionate. The mode of passion, they don't have the piety to do bhajan. But here is a way to combine activity with Krishna's pleasure. Not that we should not chant and read, but But when we don't have the capability to become fully absorbed in it, we should also preach that. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is the best welfare work. Also, Srila Prabhupada many times said, first save yourself. Charity begins at home. Depend on Krishna and act to please him. Text 54. O my friends, O son of demons, everyone, including you, the yakshas and rakshasas, the unintelligent women, sudras and coward men, the birds, the lower animals, and the sinful living entities can revive his original eternal spiritual life and exist forever simply by accepting the principles of Bhakti Yoga. So text 55. In this material world, to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere is the only goal of life. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human life, as explained by all the revealed scriptures. So to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, it said, Ekanta Bhaktir Govinde, unalloyed pure devotional service to Govinda. I will read this purport, which is the conclusion, and is quite significant. In this verse, the word sarvatra tat ikshanam describe the highest perfection of devotional service, in which one sees everything with reference to Govinda's activities. Highly elevated devotee never sees anything unrelated to Govinda. Stavara changamate ke taramukti sarvatra hayanicha istadeva spurti. The Mahabharata advanced devotee sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. From Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Madhya Lila 8.274. Even in this material world, the devotee does not see materially manifested things. Instead, he sees Govinda in everything. That when he sees a tree or a human being, a devotee sees them in relation to Govinda. So therefore, it's not surprising that when Hiranyakashipu will say in a few verses further in the 8th chapter, where is your God? Is he in the pillar? Prahlad confirms, yes, he's there. Because he really saw Nrsimhadev in the pillar. So in relation to Govinda, Govinda Mahadi Purusham, Govinda is the original source of everything. Ishvara Krishna Sakshananda Vishanadir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He is an eternal, blissful spiritual body, is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. The test of a perfect devotee is that he sees Govinda everywhere in this universe, even in every atom. Adanstara paramanu sayantrastam. This is the perfect vision of a devotee. It is therefore said, Narayanam ayam dira pashanti paramaktina. Jagatanamayam Rupa Kamukha Kamini Mayam. A devotee sees everyone and everything in relationship with Narayan. Narayanam Ayam. Everything is an expansion of Narayan's energy, just as those who are greedy see everything as a source of money making, and those who are lusty sees everything conducive to sex. The most perfect devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, saw Narayan even within a stone column. This does not mean, however, that we must accept the words Daridra Narayan, which has been manufactured by some unscrupulous persons. One rightly envisions Narayan everywhere and makes no distinction between the poor and the rich. To single out the Daridra Narayans or poor Narayan and reject the Dani Narayan or rich Narayan is not a vision of a devotee. Rather, this is the imperfect vision of materialistic persons. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta Purport to the seventh canto, seventh chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled What Prahlad Learned in the Womb. So, in this verse, we learn, and in the purport, we learn two things. Two things are the ultimate goal of life: to see Him everywhere, to see the Lord everywhere, and to serve the Lord every moment. So that's the perfection of life. We can measure how far we are from that. For the devotee who sees Krishna everywhere, the world becomes a happy place. That then you are like in the spiritual world. So that's the vision of the Mahabhagavat, which we are meant to develop at the end. That so here we end this chapter. We will have a shorter class today. So we will now go into the questions for 10-15 minutes and then have another session at 4 p.m. That this is about Srimad Bhagavatam class presentation of one of the students. There's a question in the chat from Mother Kasturica. How to understand when said one can hear about Krishna only if Krishna allows one to hear. Krishna is a most benevolent person, and we often hear he's more eager than us to take us back to the spiritual world. Yes, to hear you must have ears, you must have sound, you must have the capability to hear and to understand the words. All these things is Krishna. And only if it happens that yes, you can hear that. So it depends on His mercy whether we can hear or not and understand what has been said. That the same with speaking. If we want, we can speak. That I remember that I have a son who is now has been now 33 years old. That my son is originally from Calcutta. That but I adopted him when he was a few years old. But it seems that later it appeared that he had a dysfunction in his brain, and he has difficulty to write and to speak. Only those who are close to him can understand him, even after so many years. So it's up to Krishna. If you get the karma to do that, Krishna will facilitate that. It's not that our karma will change when we become a devotee. In exceptional situations, Krishna does, but usually Krishna wants us to accept our karma and take responsibility for our past actions. But yes, we should think. I can hear with Krishna when he wants me to hear. Like from personal experience, I'm getting older, and I have tinnitus in my left ear. I can't hear practice anything at the left side because of the high sound. So it depends on Krishna if he allows you to hear. Yes, we should not take that for granted. Rasal Prabhu has another question. Is it possible to see Krishna face to face in the material world? If yes, is it the bhava stage? It is the stage of the Uttam Adhikar. That bhava is a stage of prema, and bhav is a preliminary stage that leads to that. But in the bhava stage, yes, one sees Krishna face to face, but not with these material eyes. You cannot see with the eyes. These eyes are material. Your eyes need to be anointed. But you will see Krishna on the spiritual platform. But even if we are not on the bhava stage, that if we are still in anartha-nivritti, but we come a little advanced, we can see Krishna everywhere by our intelligence, spiritual intelligence. That's also seeing that yes, but that will develop naturally. That we will become attracted to Krishna when we become purified. And that attraction will lead us. That attraction will help, means that we start to see Krishna in everything, because everything is Krishna. That's becoming purified, you see reality. But when we come, when we attain Jivan Mukta, we see Krishna directly to the eyes of the soul, then our spiritual body has become awakened. Then you can see directly, but you can only see with the spiritual body. That's covered over now. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, our senses, spiritual senses are there, but they are covered over. That by two material bodies, subtle and gross. But the spiritual body will become active and develop after Nishta, Ruchi, and then Ashakti. Ashakti means you see Krishna every moment in the heart. So that's a natural development. So I want to ask you that we have heard Krishna saying what we should not do in our lives, invest our false ego in bodies, in so-called relationship with other bodies and so on. And he's telling us here what to do. To serve Krishna and learn to see him everywhere. We can learn to see him by hearing what we are doing. That healthy this sense of seeing Krishna everywhere will develop. So about after hearing this, my question to you is, if you want to share it, you don't need just if you want to share it, but what will you change in your life after hearing this? Hare Krishna. We can go on for maximum 15 minutes. Yes, so think about that. What what will you change now? What's your plan to to make further advancement? That I think we are all still deeply identifying with the body. The identification with the body is there until after liberation. Until after liberation, and if we are liberated, we are in Nishta. You don't take birth again. But Nishta is not easy to attain. Then there is no material suffering anymore. That so any comments? That so otherwise, if yeah, okay. Mother Lalita Pritimai, please speak. Unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
As you said, Maharaj, these two things, the ultimate goals of life, that is to see the Lord everywhere and to serve the Lord every time. What I wish to change in my life is, I don't like one of my relatives. I really hate them. So after hearing this, what I need to change in myself is, I should start seeing the Paramatma is even inside them also. So I should not hate them anymore. Um, because in Bhagavatam, Prabhupada in the purports, he said, because the Lord is residing inside the body, so the body is the temple of the Lord. So I think I should start seeing them as a temple, and then to serve the Lord every time. And sometimes when I meet with my devotee childhood friends, so we just be like Hare Krishna and we just cuddle each other. So I feel that I should first offer my obeisances to them, because the Lord is inside them. So I have to do my obeisances first and then approach them.
Yeah, it's a very noble intention. You will see that the mind will not like it. It may protest that, but that's false ego. The mind try to protect false ego. But yes, we have to tolerate and go that direction. And that's a very nice realization. Yes, I will also try to practice this in my life. Thank you. Uh, Avinash Mathur Prabhu, please share with us.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances. Uh, after listening to so much of Bhagavatam, I still feel attachment to children and grandchildren, and we feel we have the illusion that we have some role to play in their lives, and so on. So this is part of the paraphernalia that Prahlad Maharaj has talked about, attachment to all these things. So after listening to this, we try to detach. I will try to detach more of myself, and say Krishna is always there to help them and help us. So we can try. It is a gradual realization, and we have to make a first towards that. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, that's great. That's the intention is there to improve on these points. The thing is that we should not take these relationships too serious. That we must do our role as parents, of grandparents. We must play that role, but always try to see they are not my children and they are Krishna's children. I'm trying to give. Uh, I, I, I will help them, in their Krishna consciousness. Of course, we have to see at what level that is possible, that we have to intelligently find a way to help them to make spiritual advancement. But yes, it's a very good intention and it's a big challenge, because usually these are quite deep-rooted attachment. Thank you, Avinash Mathuru. That's very nice realization. Mother Prabhupada Priya, please share with us.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Thank you. Yeah, so there's a few things. I guess one thing is, yeah, that I really need to work on is, like right now I'm separated from my family, and you know, my attachment to my daughter is very strong, and so I'm gradually to see more like you know, like what you just said, that they're not mine, they're spirit souls who belong to Krishna, and that I played a role in their life, whatever Krishna engaged me in that service, and these bodily relationships are ultimately temporary. And so, you know, it reminds me of, like, you know, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said that we need to die before we die. You know, in other words, when we leave this body, everything is going to be lost. So at some point we need to let go of these material, you know, bodily relationships, although they're devotees, but still the reason that, you know, I should be happy that they're devotees and they're practicing devotional service, but because of the bodily connection, then sometimes I get upset about not having contact with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that I need to try to overcome. And so that's one point. Another point is that in text 52, the Lord Maharaj is saying that without sincere devotional service, everything is simply a show. So I was thinking that, you know, because now I'm at a preaching center here and I'm kind of seen as a senior devotee. So I feel like, you know, as an older devotee, I need to set a good example for the younger ones, the new devotees, and, you know, try to do everything right, be exemplary. But sometimes I feel like it can be a little, you know, external, like I'm going through the motions of doing everything right, but maybe my heart is not in it. I'm just thinking I have to do this because I need to show others how to do it. But really the better example to set is to be sincere. So just to try to be like more conscious of that, and also to avoid the tendency to be self-centered. You know, like you were saying, that there's 8 billion people in the world and everyone's thinking that they're the center and everyone else has to revolve around them. So it's just insanity, you know, and that as we take care of ourselves, you know, we usually invest so much energy in taking care of ourselves, but we should, in that same way, we should try to take care of others. So to have more of a mood of trying to assist others, and yeah, for the pleasure of Krishna. So those are a few little applications that I thought of.
Yeah, there's 2 points you mentioned. It's a whole mission that, but if we see that as a goal to achieve that, certainly Krishna will help us if we are sincere. That thank you. That think we have the last one for today, Muridhar Shyam Prabhu. Please share with us what did you want to change in your life?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, from studying this, because since I'm in the management, sometimes we have some argument with the devotees, sometimes we have we might have some not right, not good relationship in terms with our neighbors and all these things. So this made me realize that this is at least basically it's about the body and all these things. So thought I need to change. So when don't take it as grudge and keep in my heart, and I need to like really preach to them, to bring them to understand them what we're trying to do, because they have their way to serve Krishna and I have my way to serve Krishna, and everybody want to please Krishna. So if we are together in Jew, and I should tolerate. So this what all the while I thought by reading this is what it make me to change myself, to tolerate all this kind of trouble, and if this is why we're doing this for Krishna. So don't take it personal, and this is what I thought, and I take there are many devotees have left sometimes the society because of some fight, some argument with the management or with the devotees, and I thought ideas is coming when I see other devotees like Prabhupada Priyamataji, Avinash Mathurpur and Lalita Mataji was telling what it makes me inspired to go and see which devotee have left the society or why they left, and cultivate them and bring back them. This is make me inspire, and this is how I thought to take as a possible as a sankalpa to bring them back and have a good relationship.
These are very good intentions. I've been many times temple president myself. I was in management, and I empathize with you that management, spiritual management in the material world is one of the most difficult things to do, and you are confronted with very heavy situations, something in relationships especially, that but it's our chance for purification, and your intentions are very good, that that's trying to every time trying to see that Krishna is teaching me lessons, and I need to where I have to improve, because if I don't improve, I will suffer myself. That and that's Krishna dragging you forward. Thank you, Muralidhar Shyam. Thank you. So we will stop now and have the presentation, the Bhagavatam class at 4 p.m. So I'm looking forward to see you all online. Then tomorrow there will be no class. It's Radhastami. And the day after we will go in the 8th chapter. Normally it's from verse 1 to 23, but I will go a little further until the killing of Hiranyakashipu. We must go to, otherwise you stop in the middle of the lila. But that will be on Thursday. Here, Lord Nrsimhadev slays the king of the demons, and we can pray to Lord Nrsimhadev to conduct the same operation in our heart to slay the demons in our heart also. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada.
Thanks.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Jai,
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai
jai.
Prabhupada.
Last one.